The third question I'm going to answer is Morgan and Wilson's article about non physical child abuse and how it can manifest. And should the communication scholars update the framework? So, when you think non physical communication, you know, you don't usually think about it. Well, you think, okay, what can they do to children that's non physical? What are the things that break children down? One of the things that comes to my mind first is silence. There are some cultures where the women have to put their heads down. The women are not allowed to walk in the same line as men. And I think the children are the same. Children should be seen and not heard. That dates back to, some of my grandparents' generation where they weren't allowed to have a voice. Maybe, at certain times, dinner time, family time. It's like, no, kids, you go play. They isolate them. And they probably don't mean anything by it, but silence is not good, right? Whenever it deals with children, children should be able to be heard. They have a voice as well. I think another way that they could is humiliation. Now, I do spank my children. I believe in corporal punishment. However, I will never humiliate them. I do not want them to feel bad. I don't want to break them down. I just want to show them that what they're doing is wrong, just to correct them and guide them. But humiliating them, and this is something we see on social media, like a kid does something wrong, and this is this generation, my generation, your kid does something wrong and then you shave their head. Or I've seen where they have to wear like a sign to school that says like, I did this or I did that. That's humiliation. And I don't think that that's going to really solve the problem. If anything, it's going to break them down more because more people are going to have the attention on them. I think it's not going to be effective like a parent would think. I think that culturally you have to step outside what you know, because the things that I am like, that we would say are non-physical child abuse like that, maybe to another country, they would say there's nothing wrong with that, or they would say that's absolutely child abuse. I think abandonment, we look at abandonment as child abuse here in America. Maybe in other countries, if a parent has to go to work and they leave 3 little kids at home, but there's food, that was maybe a necessity to them. That wasn't abandonment. Whereas we would look at it as non-physical child abuse. I think that we have to take into play all the different context, cultural context. So maybe a study would be taking children of different ages, from different cultures all over and asking them, questions about what they feel is child abuse. Do you feel like when your parents leave you at home and you're 10 years old, do you feel like you're being abandoned versus an American child, versus an African child? I think that a lot of these can be situational, and then some of them are outright abuse, like humiliation, degradation. That's outright abuse. But, some of them, they are culturally subjective. So I think that's the limitation of that study.